This is a conversation with Liam Austin. With his consulting company, Entrepreneurs HQ, he helps other entrepreneurs with building high-price offers, effective funnels for generating leads and new customers by using the power of virtual conferences and automation. So if you're a coach or an expert and you want to scale your business as fast as possible and as automated as possible, I suggest you to listen to this man. So you have a company that's called Entrepreneur HQ. Can you please talk a little bit about that, what you guys are doing, and for whom?
Yeah, great. So Entrepreneurs HQ is a company my partner Sarah and I founded. We've been running virtual events together since 2015. Our very first virtual event was a conference, an online summit, where we had 15,000 people registered to attend. So it was 15,000 leads being generated into the business, which was really, really powerful. And from that success, really, we started running these events on a regular basis. And after just around about the 2-year mark, I think we had over 100,000 emails on our database. So we had an audience that we could leverage now. And people started asking us, well, how are you generating so many leads? How are you having such a big impact with these virtual events? So we've started teaching people how to run these virtual events to sell their courses and programs. So typically they're a speaker, an author, some kind of thought leader, an expert who wants to be seen as the go-to expert in their market. They want to be seen as the number one choice. So we position them with and design a virtual event that will help position them as that number one choice in the eyes of their ideal client for ultimately their courses and their programs. But we like to specifically focus in on a high ticket offer. So something around like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 US dollars. So we can really maximize our profit margins and revenue in the business.
Okay, so the purpose is, so the client is basically, let's say, a personal brand, an expert, someone who wants to be seen as an expert and recognized as an expert. And the purpose is collecting a lot of leads, qualified leads.
Yeah.
Right?
So the event collects the leads, positions you as the authority, as the expert, and allows you to more easily sell your courses and programs. So because we've built the leads, we've built the relationship, the trust, we've also positioned your expertise in the field of the product you ultimately want to sell, this high ticket offer at 5, 10, 15, 25K, whatever it is. You're 80% of the way selling the offer so that once you go to the pitch or you get to the application or the phone, the sales call, the client is 80% of the way sold, and it's a lot easier to enroll the person. It's just a matter of fine-tuning maybe the details and closing the deal.
I see. So there's a lot of these events in the online marketing space. I sometimes, I have mixed feelings when attending them as for example, an expert, an invited expert, because ultimately people basically want to get access to your email list, and in return they let you speak there. And so that's kind of, it can make sense. It just felt like it was a bit like everyone was doing that, especially in the German market. Like there was some point, like every month there was a new summit of some kind. How do you see that? How can I, for example, make a summit that is more unique or that is kind of different? Do you see any way of how can I position it so that it's not like everyone else?
Oh, yeah, that's great. Great question. And I think, when you're looking at events that are out there and they're very similar, it's because they're kind of like replicating each other. They're kind of like reverse engineering the thing. And so what we want to do is we want to look at, okay, well, what is your offer? What is your service, your consultancy, your coaching, your course? What is that thing that we ultimately want to sell off the back end? Who's the ideal client for that? Really narrow it down into the people who are willing to and able to pay $10,000 for your offer. And then we reverse engineer to design the event. Now, the event could be Could be a summit, a workshop, a boot camp, a challenge, a seminar, some kind of online event that positions you as the authority. Now, which event we choose or decide, we reverse engineer from the high ticket offer down to deciding the type of event, right? The topic of the event, the people who are going to be attracted by this type of event that will ultimately position them to be ready to buy your high ticket offer. So we look at, okay, well, is it a summit, workshop, challenge, seminar, retreat, boot camp? What is it? How many days is it? Is there external speakers coming, right? Or is it just you being the expert speaking on stage? Because potentially we don't need any collaborators. Typically, you might be thinking of a summit or a conference where you've got multiple speakers and collaborations. And so that's a type of collaboration event versus just you speaking on stage. And when we're looking at collaboration events, we want there's 5 types of collaborators, really. There's speakers, sponsors, media, affiliates, and then your own email list, who are ambassadors, who are sharing the event with their friends, family, colleagues. So speakers, sponsors, media, affiliates, and then your own email list as well. So if you decide to go down the collaboration route, is it for your summit, a challenge, or some other type of virtual event? That can be absolutely designed. And then why are they being involved? There needs to be what's in it for them. So we need to make sure that there's a match so that the speakers, the sponsors are getting value. Like when I'm talking about sponsors, we've had Vimeo sponsor our events in the past. They came in and they sponsored just one of our events. They paid us a 5-figure sum to sponsor our online event. It worked so well for them. It generated so many leads, such a big ROI. We're actually the biggest for that quarter. We were the best investment in advertising, sponsorship, paid media that they used for that whole quarter. So they came back and they sponsored our next 12 months worth of events. So identifying, well, what is that ROI? How can I deliver for my sponsors or my speakers to make sure it's valuable for them? I think that's the crucial difference. And I think that's what differentiates an average summit or event to a valuable event that serves all contributors.
Okay, thank you. And how do you, let's say you would invite other speakers. What do you recommend, like how to pick them? Because I think their interest is they probably want to make sales pitches for their stuff on their own. Like that's why they're there mostly. At least that's just my experience. How do you approach that? Do you give them guidelines regarding topics, or if you want to maximize let's say the profit for your own target audience, and you invite other speakers that have audiences themselves and ideal audiences themselves that they want to target, how do you match that?
Yeah. So this is interesting, right? We've had hundreds of clients go through our programs teaching our virtual event system, and there's a broad range of people in terms of the types of events they want to create based on their ideal outcome. Some people are just like, I just want it to be all about me. I don't want any other people pitching, right? It's pure content driven. And the other end of the scale is like, it's a free for all. This is a pitch fest. Right? So, and then there's all the ranges in between. So one of our clients, for instance, he ran a complete pitch fest. So every single speaker on that event was running essentially a promotional, salesy type webinar for every single one of their speeches, their talks. That worked really well. It generated some great recurring affiliate revenue for them. So if there are any affiliates out there or want to generate some kind of passive income, a good idea for running one of these types of events might be to do an event on AI tools. Let's talk about AI, but not going too deep into it. Okay, what are all the best AI tools out there? Let's go and get the founders of all the big AI tools out there, put an affiliate link for a special deal at the end of each one of these speeches, and boom, we can start getting some recurring commission from all of these talks and all these software that's out there. So that will be one end of the scale. The other end of the scale is, okay, this is pure content. This is about giving information and quality content to our audience. So we want to make this, this could be potentially a paid event so that the attendees are coming and paying to be part of this event. They don't want to see any pictures, right? It's at the other end of the scale. And it's just high quality presentations, keynote speeches, maybe there's some panel discussions. So those are the two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. And then there's all the different types of sessions in between. And when I talk about sessions, we've actually got a spreadsheet of 100 different types of sessions that can be run at one of these types of events. So if you feel like, oh, this event has already been done in my market, my niche, my industry, it can be completely unique, to go back to your questions, Fen, like by just you being the host, number one, you coming up with maybe a different angle or a different topic, but also the layout of the sessions, because you can be doing keynote sessions, there can be slide presentations, there can be interviews, there can be panel discussions. There's like over 100 of these different session styles that can be combined in different ways to make your event unique, special, and ultimately, remember, to deliver the result, the outcome of what you ideally want. And for us and our clients, it's helping you to sell your high-ticket offers.
I see. And can you give some examples or case studies of exceptionally well designed events, or events that really hit it home for the host, where he was really pleased? Like, what did they do right, and how did they approach that? Do you have some cases?
Great. Yeah. So here's a non-profit example. So this is like, again, another example of ways you can run different events. This is one of our clients, Carl, who runs the Migraine World Summit. He has 100,000 people attend his event every year now from scratch. Like, he started off working with us at zero. He didn't have an audience. He now has 100,000 people attending his event every year. It's a non-profit. It's all about providing value. There's a lot of companies that come in and provide sponsorship and support for people who are suffering from migraine, people who have a real problem. And in terms of like, well, there's lots of events out there. How do we make it different? I think this is what Carl does really well. He solves a major problem for people who are suffering from migraines and they can't find a solution. So he gathers all the world's top migraine experts together in one room at one conference, all online, and they get all the latest maybe procedures or vitamins or just meditation type opportunities that are available to people who are suffering. And it was interesting during COVID, people were talking about Zoom fatigue and how, we're just tired of these online events. They'll never run again. Well, this was kind of just completely debunked with these migraine sufferers, because migraine sufferers, they get headaches. They get migraines from looking at a screen too long, right? But they had their biggest year ever, or their biggest event ever, during COVID, because they were solving a real problem for people. So as long as you can attach your event to solving a real problem for people, solving their major pains and issues and challenges and helping them overcome that and giving a solution, people will jump through hoops. They will suffer, right? They will put themselves in a position where they're going to get a migraine to get the solution that they're looking for. So making sure, I think, that you have you are looking to solve a real pain point for people, and that's part of the promise, part of the tagline that you're using in your event. You're going to stand out, and you're going to be a lot more successful than, say, your other competitors in your market.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, I can imagine that, because if you have migraines, then it could be so painful that you're willing to put yourself through watching a few hours of online content.
That's right. And even days of content, right? Like some of these conferences have 20, 30 speakers, so it goes for maybe 20, 30 hours. So there can be a lot of content, and it can be tough for some people. And that's why this is going maybe a bit deep into the strategy, but there can be a solution that people can't necessarily attend all 3, 5, 10 days of the conference. So they can purchase the recordings, so they can watch them in their own time when maybe they don't have a migraine, or then they can just spread it across over time, to give an upgrade, to give an opportunity to earn income, to earn revenue from your event, which is really cool. Like I talked about our very first event, we made $50,000 US from our very first event that we set up in just a few weeks. So that was just on ticket sales. That was not selling any courses, programs, coaching, or anything like that post the event. So $50,000 just on ticket sales, which can make a difference in plenty of people's lives. And it took us, Sarah and myself, on this journey to now just focusing purely on virtual events since 2015. And it's changed our lives, but we've been able to impact so many people by bringing events, experts, content to people around the world that may not be able to get access to these types of experts and content, which has been really fulfilling.
I see. That's very cool. So how did you specifically get into this business? How did that start for you? Like consulting?
Well, we have to go back to the year 2000 for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So I was lucky enough to get an opportunity in the year 2000 to work for an internet startup. So I've been on the internet, working online for over 2 decades now. And that startup company was a dating technology. So it was powering the dating websites of Yahoo, MSN, and some of the other really big trafficked websites of the day. It ultimately sold to Match.com in 2004. I was like maybe the 6th, 7th employee, something like that, but it grew substantially in the years that I was there, and I wasn't a founder. I didn't get any shares, unfortunately, but it sparked something greater in me, which was I could see the impact that connecting people online could have. So the founders were getting presents and gifts delivered to the office frequently, like every other week. It seemed like they were getting a gift from someone who had met the love of their life. They were getting invitations to weddings, right? And I was in the background here, just like seeing the connections that people were having and the revenue being generated by the business and the impact they were having on the world. It was just like amazing. I couldn't believe it. This is like pre Tinder, Tinder kind of made dating cool, but this is like the year 2000, right? 2 decades ago. It wasn't so cool, but there were plenty of people doing it and getting amazing results. So when I wanted to start my own business, and I was running my own like kind of dating white labeled website at the time. So I was learning about SEO. I was doing paid ads in 2001, 2002 online. It just inspired me to know that there was the impact could be created from just having an internet connection. If you could create the right website, the right platform to make that opportunity happen. So when I met Sarah and I knew I needed to get serious about actually creating an online business so we could travel between Sweden and Australia, like that's the spark, that was a motivation to make this happen. I looked back at my experience there and realized that, perhaps running these events online, conferences that I couldn't potentially attend in the US that would maybe cost me a few $100s or actually thousands of dollars to fly there, accommodation, taxis, food, time away from my business, my family, right? It can be quite costly when you consider all of those things. And so a virtual event in 2015 was where we started, and it was well received. We had 15,000 people register to attend. And since then, we've been helping our clients kind of generate that kind of impact for their own communities and audiences.
So your business model is you're a consulting company, or how does it work exactly?
So we help people with doing exactly what I'm talking about here, creating these events, but also creating their high-ticket programs and offers, whether it is a course, coaching or consulting. We can consult with you. We can coach you through this. We've got online courses that you can go through, just paid programs that teach all of this stuff because we've systemize this now. We've done it so many
Mm.
times for ourselves. Like I've hosted over 15 multi-day, 20 plus speaker events. So over 15 of those over the years. We've done dozens of workshops, challenges, boot camps, retreats, masterminds.
Mhm.
And so if you're looking to create this virtual event or create your high ticket program or offer, yeah, we can support you in creating this. So ultimately, we want you to have a highly profitable business with a highly profitable offer that's scalable so that
Mhm.
you don't have to work hours and hours to generate online income. You can make it passively. One thing that I don't know whether we pioneered it or not, but in 2016, I realized that showing up live for these virtual events and running virtual events all the time is quite tiresome and exhausting. So we automated some of these events because it's
Mhm.
online. We recorded them and we set them up so they're accessible on demand, evergreen. So if you wanted access to, for our client, Carl, migraine information, you don't have to wait till
Mhm.
next year's event. You can purchase it on demand, accessible today, so you can get solutions to your urgent problems immediately. So we've done that since 2016, and a lot of our events now, we've got dozens of these now living out there on the internet somewhere, which are all automated. They're accessible on demand. So they're set up, if you like online courses, which people can just purchase immediately, get access to, and get results immediately. So we can help set up this type of funnel for people so that ultimately what happens in our business and what we do for our clients is we generate traffic that's consistent, it's predictable, they opt in, so we're generating leads, they're getting some kind of free lead magnet or opt in, so we're building our own database. They're purchasing some low ticket offer, they might be paying $20, $50, $100, a few $100 for that. They're then booking a call, an appointment with us, and they're enrolling into our $10,000 program. That's the very simplified version of our
Mhm.
funnel, and the same type of funnel that we can build for our clients so that at the other end, you've got clients buying and enrolling in your 10K program just consistently every single month without you having to do too much work because you've done the work. This funnel's automated, the event's automated.
Mhm.
Obviously, yeah, you need to jump on a call, but we can help you build the sales team to actually take those calls and enroll your clients for you.
That's pretty interesting. So you typically have coaches and experts that want to create products, that want to create high ticket products, and you kind of help them to systemize and automate that and also use virtual events as a means to get new leads and bring more business.
Yeah,
Is that
like the
correct?
virtual event, I suppose, is the shiny object in all of this, but it's
Mm.
basically it's a business, an automated business that helps you to generate the lifestyle, the revenue, and have the impact that you want.
I see. How do you see virtual events as opposed to a webinar? Is it the same for you or do you differentiate between them?
So yeah, a webinar is a type of virtual event, so it's one of many.
Okay. And if you were to decide between, let's say you have a SaaS company and you want, it's B2B, just like my company, Digisaur24, and I want to run a virtual event or a live event and I'm not decided, how would you go about that? Would you do a live event over a virtual event if it's possible, like if it's in an interesting town or country where a lot of people can get access to, or would you prefer the virtual summits and events?
Yeah, so this is where the result, the outcome really comes into play. So what outcome do you want to have? I've seen like demonstrations, so demos working really, really well, as well as applications
Mm-hmm.
working really well in the SaaS space to get new clients, to get new customers. Obviously, you can just go straight to a trial, but an educated buyer will spend more and maybe stay longer. So how do we provide that education? And the virtual event is going to be able to provide that education. I think the virtual event also positions it as an exciting it's an event, right? It's an
Yeah.
exciting thing for people to actually show up to versus just, watch this video, right, is not so interesting. So if we can make it more engaging for clients, and what works best, is it some kind of demonstration? Is it a VSL? Is it a webinar? Is it a seminar? Is it a summit? And a summit maybe is like more top of funnel, where we want to generate interest around the domain expertise, right? Or we want to be positioning ourselves as more as an authority out there in the marketplace and have a big reach. Maybe then we'd be looking at the summit versus maybe we're putting on a workshop closer, a little bit further down the funnel than top of funnel, where we're positioning ourselves as the expert. The client already knows that they want this solution. It's just a matter of, well, who is the expert? Who's my number one choice? Maybe the workshop is the best place there. So it's just really, when you see events out there and you see people saying, oh, it didn't quite work for me, it's typically because they haven't spent enough time on the strategy and going deep into, well, what is my ultimate outcome? What is the ultimate purchase that I want, or action that I want my ideal client to take? And what are the steps we need to make sure that the client takes to be able to get them there as quickly, simply, and easily as possible, so that we're the number one choice.
I see. Yeah, that's very cool. What kind of challenges have you faced building this kind of business? Your own challenges, and if you want to share some of your clients as well, like what are the opponents, so to speak?
Yeah. People look at COVID and say, well, must have been awesome for you guys, right? Like virtual events became really popular during COVID. Yeah. And yes, our business has grown bigger every single year, which is amazing. We've got a great team. However, there were so many people who were running offline events that suddenly came in and started running online events. So we had more competition. We had people claiming they were experts. We had lots of people going through our training and then going out there and selling our stuff to other people. So that was a bit of a challenge, and something that I thought was really interesting to see how that happened. And then just in terms of us getting started, we were selling just tickets, really, at the very beginning to our events. Entrepreneurs HQ was about bringing together the world's top entrepreneurs to help upcoming emerging entrepreneurs to scale faster, avoid the mistakes by creating these gatherings, these events where we had these experts who were teaching. And that worked really well. We were just selling the tickets, but we realized we were doing very surface level impacts with people. We were getting their attention. We were allowing them to understand what was going on, and this was something that they should be paying attention to. And they wanted to dive deeper. They wanted to take that next step with us. And we didn't have a next step. We didn't have a course or a program. That didn't come till 2018 for us. So it took us 3 years before we said, okay, let's teach our method. Let's lift the hood and show people how we're generating so many leads that see us as the expert and want to work with us further. So that was, I think, a mistake, that we didn't have this next step for people, because people were wanting it. And I was kind of pushing back, saying, well, we're a media company. These other people are the experts. Learn from them. We're bringing in all these other experts. And still they're saying, well, yeah, we want to work with you. And I was like, well, that's not the business model. I'm not the expert. I don't want to be seen as the face. And so we really pushed back on that for multiple years. And as I said, we had over 100,000 people on our database who were, messaging, emailing us, saying thanking us for putting on these events and asking us how we could do more together. And we didn't have that option. So now, absolutely, that was a big mistake. And I see this still with events today, people creating events that aren't tied to their ultimate outcome, like selling maybe their consultancy, their coaching. And so, they don't even have that offer, right? So we can help people to create that offer or to improve it, optimize it so it's more profitable, more scalable. And then it's about designing the event to reach those goals. And then it's those personal goals. Like, what do you want to have? For us, it was all about traveling and freedom. And that became quite difficult too. Like, we were living in Thailand for a little while. We moved to Sweden. We moved to Malta. We were living in Portugal a little bit during the COVID. We went to Australia for a few months. Like, we moved quite a lot. And that also means it's quite difficult to run a business, like to actually have a place to settle down, to create some roots and connections in the community. They were kind of very surface level connections. So those have been difficult. We've trying to overcome them. Similar to the original one, like Sarah and myself, we're partners in business, but we're partners in life as well. So how do you run a business with your partner or your significant other? What are the challenges there? And we've had to create structures and systems to make it possible, to make it work, and to create this dream a reality for us. So yeah, I could dive deep into any of those, and I'm sure there's plenty more. Like, creating this online business isn't, just this create once, sit and forget, and this whole dream of the automated business. It takes work to create. Like right now, we've got an operations manager who's coming in and kind of taking a lead role in the business, so more of a CEO position. So ultimately, myself and Sarah can step away and the business can run by itself. But yeah, there's got to be some time, energy put into that to make that happen. And ultimately, yeah, we'll have a passive machine that works for us without us, which is, yeah, amazing. But yeah, there's challenges, roadblocks, things that come along the way. And I think having these entrepreneurs, these experts come and share their knowledge with me inside our community, inside our events and programs, has allowed me personally to move quicker, faster, and get bigger results as well.
I see. Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm very curious about how do you balance working with your partner and just like be partners in business and in life and have kind of that balance so that everything works fine and healthy. Like you mentioned some rules and some systems. Would you share them?
Yeah, barriers. So like really, and invisible barriers, right? Like, so early on, we were working from home. We wanted to create this business. We're bootstrapping. We don't need to go out and hire an office or anything like that. But soon it became, apparent that we were spending 24/7 together, and it was a blur between business and our personal lives. Like, were we co-founders or were we, girlfriend, boyfriend? And where was the barrier there that separated the two? So, we made strict rules about, okay, well, between these hours, like when we said we're like, let's say it's 9 to 5, at 5 p.m., there's no more talk about business, right? That happens at the morning meeting at 9 a.m. You have to save it till then. Little rules like that. Eventually, when we had a bit of income coming in, we went and got offices, and I worked in one co-working space, and Sarah actually went to a different co-working space. So we were working remotely, but we'd come home together, or we'd catch the transport, the bus, train home together. So just creating those little small elements where you can separate the two, and distinctively separating the personal life and the business life helped everything, right? And so every other kind of rule that we've made to help make our lives easier or better has really come back to that foundational rule.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's why, people keep always bashing 9 to 5. I don't agree, because for me, it's just what you get done within those hours. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever. But in my opinion, it's just like, what are you getting done during these hours? Are you productive? Are you getting everything done or not? Because just being busy from time to time is not enough. And I think having like these barriers could also help with productivity, because let's assume you only have 9 to 5. Let's just assume that, and you're really driven and you really want to get things accomplished. There's this law, I think it's called Parkinson's law, which means that everything gets so big or takes so long, like what kind of, like when you set the deadline and what kind of time you give it. Let's say for students at university, it's quite often some kind of homework they have to deliver at a certain point in time, and then it could take like 3 days or 3 months, easy. The same thing. It's just like how much time you give it. So I think while everyone's like, bashing 9 to 5, not saying you did, but in general, on social media and whatnot, I think 9 to 5 is not so bad if you have like let's assume you have like at 5 or at 6 you have to go to your workout, and then you just have time till 5, and then you have to get things done till 5, and then you might speed up. So I think having these kinds of barriers is really a good thing. And when I was a student, I studied dentistry, and I didn't have a girlfriend back then. I was very driven, but I was like just busy learning, and these years passed, and I did not do anything but studying. And nowadays, I changed my career, so I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm a software as a service entrepreneur, so I don't even do anything with that. So it's funny. So yeah, can
I just add to that as well? I think something that I've learned based on what you've said there, having those barriers, making sure that, okay, I want to be as productive as possible. If you create those time constraints of working in, like, there's a thing called the Pomodoro technique where you work in like blocks of time. So let's say 25 minutes with a 5-minute break where you stand up, stretch, grab a glass of coffee or water, and then you go back to and do a 25-minute block, but you're working productively on one specific goal, outcome, or action to get that result. So that's been really good. And then also the events. So for us, when we're running an event, we run it live for the first time. So we say, okay, well, we want to run a workshop and we want to run it next week in 7 days' time. We've now set ourselves a deadline of 7 days. We publicly promote that it's happening in 7 days from today. And now we need to make sure it gets done. We've set this deadline for ourselves. Yes, we then go and automate that event, and then it lives out there on autopilot. But just having that goal, that deadline of, well, this event is happening on this specific date. We need to make sure everything's in place by this date. And then we need to run it live that first time. Really helps with making sure we get stuff done, and we're focused on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneurship is so much about mindset. Can you describe your own mindset that you have, or let's say the ideal mindset that you think someone needs to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, like, I'll revert to a little bit of the story that I was talking about before. Like 2000, I was in a startup. I created my own website that was dating in the dating space, and I was doing paid ads. I was doing SEO. I was editing HTML. Like, I was running my own business. It was generating income. It was doing great. But it took me till 2015 to really start the business. It took me 15 years of just playing around, kind of doing a side hustle, if you like, and playing with things, but not actually completely dedicating myself and focusing on it. So that was a mindset thing, absolutely. 15 years of just kind of playing away versus like diving in deep. And how could I dive in deep? Well, I needed some kind of motivation, and that motivation was Sarah, my partner. She lived in Sweden. She was going to move back to Sweden. I was going to live in Australia, and it was going to be a sad ending, right? Like we were going to have to separate. But there was a solution in we could create this online business and live in both places without either of us sacrificing. And so knowing that and having that fire underneath us to make sure we had this happen, otherwise the opposing result was devastating, right? There was a lot of pain if we didn't make this thing happen. So having that drive, having that determination, having that reason, that why, people talk about having that why and that deeper why. If that is strong enough, that's going to help you be more successful. So taking time to find out what your why is, I think is crucial for any kind of success when it comes to entrepreneurship and making sure you're dedicated, you're being as productive as possible.
Thank you. I would even say that that's very romantic. That's cool.
Yep. So love is a powerful motivator for sure.
Yeah, love is the answer. Thank you. Yeah, like as a last question, would you share your 3 most important tips for beginner entrepreneurs if they want to start, if they think about starting a business and want to do it, and ideally online?
Yeah, great. So 3 tips. First one is find out your why, what's motivating you, and make sure it really is your why. So you'll stay up late and do the work, or when things get hard, you won't just decide to go out with your friends, but you'll stay in and grind it out. So that why, I think, just continuing on the last point, is really important. The next one is take your shot, take the opportunity when you have it in front of you. Don't let it pass you by. There's a good quote by Wayne Gretzky that is I heard growing up as a kid, being a soccer player, and it was, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So in other words, if you don't take the shot, 100% of course you're going to miss. But if you take that shot, you've got at least a chance of getting the shot, of scoring that goal, of winning that business or winning that client. So take the shot, take the opportunity when you get the chance. So those would be the why. Find out the why, take your opportunity. And the final one is start with a virtual event. All right. If your business is struggling, if you're unsure of what to do, or if you're moving into a new market, or you just want to scale inside your own market, a virtual event will generate the impact, the leads, the audience, the revenue, as well as connections within your marketplace and industry faster, quicker than any other method of marketing that I've seen. And I've had over 400 online entrepreneurs who have scaled their businesses to hundreds, if not millions of dollars, come in and speak at my events. And I've heard all the strategies and I've tried many of them myself. And the best one I just keep coming back to is this virtual event really just catapults you onto the stage as an expert in your market, making everything else easier. As soon as if you're looking to sell something and you want to make it easier for you to sell something, then look at our system for running one of these high impact, high profit virtual events.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liam. I really appreciate your input, and it's been a lot of fun. As a very last question, could you share how people can connect with you if they want to use your service or get in touch with you? How can they do that the best?
Yeah, great. So the best way is to check out, I think, a couple of free trainings that we have. So one is quickworkshopwin.com. If you feel like you want to do a workshop, one of the quickest, simplest, easiest ways to generate clients in just 90 minutes. We've got a step-by-step system for that. There's a free checklist that goes through those steps at quickworkshopwin.com. So go check that out. And the other one is if you're looking to do one of these bigger conferences or summits, we've got an hour-long, I think, training on that at virtualsummitclass.com. Go and register for both of those. They're free. You can check out my stuff. And if you're interested, we'll send you some emails so you can get access to the content. Just reply to those emails, and typically my team will forward me those emails if they're personal for me. Happy to help support any up-and-coming or scaling entrepreneur to make more of an impact, generate more revenue, and create their dream life.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you.
All right, Sven, a pleasure. Thanks very much for inviting me along.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode of Svencast again.